What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fourth and Goal Sports Show. I'm your host, Tyrus Filson, and tonight, we're going to be talking about Super Bowl 59, the results. Going to be a little roundtable recap for Super Bowl 59. What can you say? Absolute beatdown by the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, as a Washington fan, that game kind of hurt to watch. I know it didn't hurt to watch for all Washington fans because I know a lot of Washington fans was rooting for Philly, but me, I couldn't root for Philly. I just couldn't do it. I was rooting for KC, and obviously I came out on the wrong end. My prediction was wrong. I was wrong about a lot of things in this game, but there were some things I was right about. But I'm gonna pass the baton to my guys, Zaire, returning guest to the live, Julian, returning guest of the live, and we're gonna have a few more guests tonight joining us. But how do y'all feel about the game last night, man? Super Bowl 59.
I have to deal with this until August. They won. I got to hear Philly fans until August. Talk about them dominating the game. Not a great watch. One of the worst Super Bowls I've watched in recent memory. The only
Agreed.
Super Bowl I can think of was that bad, I would say, is when New England versus the Rams when they
That
was
was
in
bad.
forgot what stadium. That Super Bowl was horrible, and I would probably say Seattle versus Denver. That was horrible as well. This just feels just worse because it's Philly. You
Well, for me, I would say I was very shocked. Not from the Eagles, it was from the Chiefs. I actually thought they would put up an effort, or it would kind of be like a back and forth type of game, and it would definitely be they would have more than 0 points going into almost the third quarter. So I was expecting more than that. And I'm like, during watching that entire game, I'm like, did the Chiefs only plan to stop the run game? Like, because that just seems like that was their only plan was to stop Saquon. Which, don't get me wrong, they did do that successfully, but the Eagles were hitting them with everything else, with all the passing and the throws, and then also with Jalen Hurts also running too. So yeah, very bad game for the Eagle. I mean, for the Chiefs. But I will say the Eagles, their defensive line definitely hold it down. If they could give a Super Bowl MVP to the defense or multiple people, I personally think it should be them because they are the
Let's get into this. Oh
reason.
yeah, let's get into this. My MVP for that game was not Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all thought I was gonna come over here in a bit. He played great. I give it to him. He played great for 2 quarters, for a whole half. But my MVP was Josh Sweat. Yeah, that I didn't think, they was gonna give it to a QB. They try to fit the narrative. But yeah, I think Josh Sweat deserved it, dominated 3 quarters. So yeah.
I noticed that I feel like in recent years they kind of give it to somebody who's like a top player on the team. Like I was even looking at like the recent years how they've given it to mostly quarterbacks and stuff like that. But I was looking like I don't know if you guys remember that Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl, where the Seahawks absolutely destroyed the Broncos, and that Super Bowl, I remember watching it, but it's been so long ago I couldn't even remember too much of it. I had to go back, but it was a post that I think the NFL made or CBS Sports, one of those accounts. And the Super Bowl MVP of that game, I would have thought it was Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner,
It's Malcolm.
Sherman, all those stars, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. It was actually Malcolm Smith. Malcolm Smith, I think he was an edge rusher or a D
No,
line.
he was. I think it was a linebacker.
Okay, linebacker. Yeah, like I said, I don't even remember that guy, and the fact that he won Super Bowl MVP, but I don't view that as a negative thing. I think that's a good thing because it's supposed to be Super Bowl MVP of that game, not Super Bowl MVP of the season, not Super. You know what I'm saying? It's only Super Bowl's one game, so I feel like definitely understand your point that it could have gone to a defensive player, but at the same time, I think Jalen Hurts played really well, and like I said, I know Jaden's not on here, but I told him I told you guys, I was like, the team with better quarterback is going to win the game. And I also said coach too. Now, we got to see. The coach part, I probably got that a little bit wrong in this one. Um, because Andy Reid, he just wasn't on his P's and Q's. But quarterback, I said the team with the better quarterback is going to win, and the team with the better quarterback won the game. Um, quite frankly, Jalen Hurts was the best quarterback on the field yesterday. Just like he was. I mean, hey, I love my quarterback, Jaden. I love Jaden. Just like Jalen Hurts was the best quarterback when we played them, he was the best quarterback on the field, bro. And I'm going to
Debatable.
stand on that because it's like it's only in that game is what I'm saying. I'm saying in that moment in that game. I'm not saying overall, but when the moment mattered, Jalen Hurts outperformed Patrick Mahomes. But obviously, it's credit to the offensive line too because they gave him all the time in the world. So, and the defense pretty much set it up on a platter for Jalen Hurts to execute. But I'm not going to sit here and discredit him. He played very, very well, and he made plays when it mattered
Well,
most.
Jalen Hurts played better than I expected, 100%. Um, I will give a lot of credit to the surrounding pieces. I don't feel like they're gonna get talked about in another couple weeks. It will be probably the Jalen Hurts show for several months. I'm gonna be throwing up every day, but I got to give credit to that defensive line. Literally dominated from the first play until damn near the last play. That defensive line is an absolute problem.
Oh, they are, man. Those guys are absolutely They terrorized Patrick Mahomes last night. I mean, in the first half, I don't want to get crazy here, but the Eagles defense made Patrick Mahomes look like Sam Howell out there. They made him look like us. I mean, we could have done what Patrick Mahomes did in the first half yesterday. It was outrageous. I have never seen Patrick Mahomes that bad in the first half. He got it together a little bit in the second half, but it was all too little, all too late. I mean, in the first half, they punched him in the mouth, and he did not know how to respond.
I think we I'm sorry, I'm a Commanders fan. As I see what my username is. Um I think even I would say I've done this as well. Um the importance of having a mobile quarterback. Um because I wouldn't sit here and say our offensive line is that much better than Kansas City's. I probably like Kansas City offensive line tight slightly better, but I don't think they're you know that much better than our offensive line. But Jaden Daniels was able to move the ball against that same offense. Um, I think he did a lot of that with his legs. Um, his the value of playing against that defensive line and having a quarterback that can escape the pocket and make a play and not turn back into the defense to get a sack. Like, what are you doing? Like, throw the damn ball away. Just that value of having that mobile quarterback kind of showed its importance. Um, Something that I probably undervalue as a fan. Me, I want my quarterback to be mobile enough to get out of some stuff, but I really want pocket passes. That's just me. But like thinking about how um, my quarterback was able to move the ball against that offense, that same defensive line that didn't change, kind of just showed to me the importance of having a guy that can um, make plays with his legs and really is a threat. Because the only thing Philly did was just send forward and got home every single time before. Um, yeah.
Yeah, Mahomes, man, I think that his offensive line let him down. Um, I think they were terrible yesterday. His O line let him down. They were really bad, and Mahomes didn't do them any favors either, though, because there were certain moments where it's like you putting yourself in a disadvantage. Like the times where Mahomes was stepping up in the pocket was actually terrible. Like it's like you need to just stand tall where you're at, bro, because it was times where he kind of felt the pressure and he took his eyes off the receivers too early. you got to keep your eyes downfield. And he started trying to run. He wasn't getting anywhere. He's just not fast enough. Quite frankly, he's not fast enough. That Eagles D line, you got to have a mobile quarterback. I mean, I do think that this. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If it was Lamar Jackson, if it was Josh Allen, this game would have been closer. This game would have been closer. The Eagles defense kind of were the perfect match for Mahomes in this game. And we might have seen a little bit of that last time the Eagles and Chiefs played, because the last time they played was not in the Super. I'm not even referring to the Super Bowl. I'm talking about regular season. And I know those teams were different, but in the 24 season, 2024, 2023, 2024 season, the Eagles and Chiefs played, and the Eagles won. Eagles got that dub. And there's just certain strategies that they used to neutralize or slow down Mahomes and what he does. And it was evident in this game. And I honestly feel like the narrative was kind of misplaced. The narrative was, can the Eagles stop the super team Chiefs from going on a three-peat? When in reality, to me, it was, can the super team Eagles deliver on what they should do? Now, I picked the Chiefs. Yes, I did. But quite frankly, if we're looking at the same Eagles roster, we all see the same roster here. They were supposed to win. Like, to me, the Eagles were supposed to win, because quite frankly, when you build a team like that with so much talent, if they had a loss this year, it would have been an utter disappointment. They were the overall better team. I didn't deny that. They were the overall better team, overall best roster in the NFL. And Patrick Mahomes just didn't have enough help. He didn't have enough help. Now, no, he didn't play his best ball, but guys were dropping passes left and right. Travis Kelce should be ashamed of his performance. Lay off the podcast for Travis Kelce. I mean, Travis is a dog. He's a Hall of Famer. I can't deny that, but that was bad. Dropping passes left and right. He didn't seem focused. D-Hop, I mean, I wanted this moment for D-Hop. I respect D-Hop, but that was bad. Dropping passes left and right. The only receiver that showed up was Worthy. The rest of those guys, if I'm the Chiefs, get rid of them. Get rid of them. You might have to get rid of Kelce at this point. You might have to.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna agree, especially DeAndre Hopkins, like that, especially the one where he was wide open in the almost in the Eagles territory, and he still dropped the ball. That was very bad, very horrible. So a lot of their wide receivers were not really showing up, except for Xavier Worthy, who did catch those 2 touchdown passes. And I also would think back to that O line. That O line was horrible. I was like, I did not think Patrick Mahomes really didn't have. I would say he probably didn't have enough time to throw too, and it's already not helping that he's not fast, so he's not going to probably escape or try to evade things. So he was definitely taking those sacks each time, and
I
so
would also think a point that's missed. Their receivers were not getting open for him. That just goes back to, oh gosh, I gotta give them a compliment. Jesus Christ. I gotta give them a compliment. That secondary was just like, if they weren't getting pressure just because of the D line, the secondary was sitting there playing great coverage, and it's just got all day, boom, sack. So like they just played a total effort defensively. That's just the talent that they have. Just amazing front. Got some young players. That's kind of scary. So yeah, I can't take nothing away from that defense. Offensively, Kansas City hanged in there as long as they could, but their offense didn't do them any justice. Putting in up any type of points to help them, I felt like they were able to move the ball and put some points up. The defense would have been able to maintain, but kind of shocked that the Chiefs were able to stop the run as much as they did. But I mean, they weren't able to get much of any pressure on Jalen Hurts.
I'm not shocked.
He just sat there and got pretty, but the one time he did get pressure, he did throw an interception.
I'm not shocked that the Chiefs stopped or slowed down the run, because, like I told Jaden, the Chiefs defense and the Chiefs D line is not the Commanders. Like I tried to explain that to people. Like, the Commanders D line has been hyped up for years with guys who, quite frankly, they're not built for the big moments. Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne are not built for the big moments. They've proven that. I respect both of them, but they're not. And in this game, Chris Jones, we're talking about, an all-time great on the D line, and the rest of those guys have been balling out too. I just think that their whole priority was, if we're going to lose this football game, we're going to lose this football game to Jalen Hurts, and we live with the results, because they weren't losing this football game to Saquon Barkley. They pretty much shut him down. He was pretty much ineffective in this football game, and you would think that if that's the case, you are at least closer. But at the same time, I think the defense played well enough to, at least be tied or leading at half, and Mahomes and the offense let them down. Like, the defense, I know they gave up 40. I know the Chiefs defense gave up 40, but the way they played in the first half, they played good enough. The
And
reason
some
they
of
gave
that
up 40 was they were tired, and the lead that was already, established was insurmountable. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, some of that 40 was not on them. Some of that was definitely their offense. Yeah, Jalen Hurts had all day to throw. His receivers were able to break open. I'm kind of surprised that Spags didn't blitz as much. I want to know if that because he doesn't believe in his secondary, and his corners to go against those two number one wide receivers. So that's something that kind of surprised me, him not blitzing as much and bringing and dialing up the pressure. But even when he did, they blocked it. So they were able to. Shout out to Jalen for sensing the pressure and adding some protection. See, I'm not just a hater. I give him credit. He just ain't elite. That's all I say. I get mad.
Man, I know it hurts your heart to give Jalen Hurts credit, bro. I mean, hey, he balled out. What can I say? He balled out. He did make some mistakes at one point in the game, and it was like, when he made those mistakes, first of all, on the first drive when the Eagles had the ball and they called that flag on AJ Brown, me personally, I thought it was a flag. And I know people don't want to hear that because, it's just, hey, any flag called against a team playing the Chiefs must be rigged, But no, I did think it was a flag. You can't touch somebody's face mask, whether you're defensive.
Hey, he did that shit all game on Marshawn Lattimore. I don't want to hear that shit. He did this shit all
bro.
game
I mean,
against Marshawn Lattimore. Shut up.
AJ Brown's an elite player, elite football player, but like, he's a very physical receiver, and I feel like sometimes the refs allow him to be physical, and the DB has to be like gentle, and that's crap to me. If you gotta meet physicality with physicality, and every time a DB does that to AJ Brown, it's like they calling flags left and right, and like, I did think that was a flag. But then my main point I was making was, on that first drive when the Eagles got shut out and they had to punt. At that point, when the Chiefs got the ball back, it's a must-score drive, because when you win the toss and you choose to defer, and hey, the team that gets the ball first, the pressure's on them to score, because my mindset was like, okay, you guys got to stop first drive. Now you got to go score. KC got to go score. They get stopped, and it's like, all right, you just missed a golden opportunity to really establish the game. And then even with how the first half went, as bad as it was, I held out hope, maybe foolishly, that Patrick Mahomes would find a way. Maybe not find a way to win, but find a way to make the game competitive and come back and give his team a chance. And they just couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. It was too large of a deficit. I would have thought they would have made halftime adjustments or something. What was said at half? Because what was that?
Yeah, I just think they're just overmatched. That team is just the best roster in football. They got the best general manager in football. They got the best offensive line, the best defensive line, the best running back, two number one receivers, solid tight end. I am very curious to see in the future, how does Philadelphia be able to retain that roster, particularly when you got to start paying guys like a Carter or Eugene and the rest of them. I'm very curious to see how they pay them, and how they're able to do that. Even though they don't have like any salary cap problems, that's the craziest part about this. They have no salary cap issues right now, so they're able to do what they want for a while. Um,
I think they'll run
had
it
this
back with
team,
a lot of pieces.
huh?
No, I was gonna say I think they will run it back with a lot of pieces, but there's gonna be some guys they let go. Like as powerful as their roster is, as great as a super team as it is, like the Eagles are very smart, and I think their strategy is to get younger. So I think that guys like Darius Slay might retire. Brandon Graham is probably going to retire. Shout out to Brandon Graham. I got all the respect in the world for him. He's a legend. He's been playing since I was a youngin. Since we all of us were youngins, he's been playing. We always talk about how impressive it is. Flipping to the NBA side, we always talk about how impressive it is for LeBron James to be playing like 21 years in the NBA, I think.
Goat status. Yep, something like
21
that.
years in the NBA, right? That's very impressive. Now, Brandon Graham's been in the NFL for like 15, 16 years. I would argue that that's more impressive. And I'm a LeBron fan. I'd argue that what Brandon Graham has done is more impressive because you're playing a contact sport where guys have injuries and their bodies are never the same. He's been doing this for 16 years. Um, and he's just an absolute professional. If there's any Eagles player that I got respect for, it's Brandon Graham. All the respect in the world for him. Dominant, future Hall of Famer, two-time Super Bowl champion now. So respect to Brandon Graham. Um, respect to him for sure. But yeah, they
I
got
think
guys that are going to leave and that are going to leave for better opportunities.
I
As
think
far as more pay, but I
I,
think they'll
I
bring back
think
who
I
matters.
think Philly. I do think Philly is committed to kind of retaining guys, but I can honestly, and it breaks my heart. I can honestly see them getting Miles Garrett. They don't need picks. They got a bunch of picks. They don't need them. I can see them letting go of a Josh Sweat and upgrading to a Miles Garrett and saying, "Hey, we're gonna let you walk. We're gonna get the best edge rusher. They have the picks. There's nothing they can't not do. Like for us, the reason we're hesitant is because we need to build out a roster. They've already built out the roster. So if they really wanted to throw them picks at them picks are not going to hurt them in the meantime, or not even really in the future, because the team is so young. I could see Howie Roseman possibly trading for a Miles Garrett. I think I said this on Twitter. I may have said it in the group chat. For all you haters, Commanders haters, haters in general, the only two teams that can stop the Eagles, because I believe the roster itself, can go back to back, possibly even three-peat if they're able to maintain some of these players. The only two teams that can beat them are in the NFC, and that's my team and Detroit. The AFC, yeah, y'all ain't beating them. I'm sorry, just not a team in the AFC. I believe that can beat them. But yeah,
Uh, uh,
hot
and I
take.
mean,
That's a hot take.
um, for right now, that's true. I think the Ravens are going to be back tougher next year. They're going to spin back. I think this, if anything, the Commanders and the Eagles should be the home opener, or the NFL season opener. I think Commanders Eagles.
Yeah,
They're gonna make
I'm gonna have to agree. It's gonna be between you or the Lions because
I
they're
don't
both.
even want to hear about the Lions right now. All due
Yeah,
respect,
but
they got some things to figure out, and
yeah,
I don't know. I just don't know how you can't. I just don't see the Lions being any better than what they were last year. I just don't.
yeah,
I think they get healthier. I think the only three teams that can trade for Miles Garrett and will be in the running for Miles Garrett, because I don't see them trading him in the division. So I'm sorry, Ravens fans, y'all not getting Miles Garrett, but y'all should probably sign Josh Sweat. I think that's where y'all should probably find an edge rusher. Um, is
I mean, they.
Detroit, Eagles, and us. I think there are only three teams that can probably get him.
I mean,
But
I
I
hear you.
also think Kansas City should put in the bid for Myles Garrett. I would love to see that. Him and Chris Jones.
That'd be tough. But I hear you. But here's the thing. I think the Eagles. I mean, you just said their cap space isn't terrible. I think that
Yep.
they got a lot of people to pay already. I don't know if they want to add Myles Garrett, and quite frankly, they don't need him. He upgrades their excuse me. He upgrades their team just like the way Saquon upgrades their team. But they have a well-rounded team. I don't know if they need him, but then again, you can make the case they didn't need Saquon. They got him, and you saw what happened. So I hope that they really do not get Myles Garrett, because if they do, it's going to get bad. It's going to get bad. I do not want to see that guy in the NFC East at all, unless he's on my team. I think we really got to lock in on him. If we hear talks, if Adam Peters hears talks that Howie Roseman is in talks for trying to get Myles Garrett, you got to get on the phone and make sure that doesn't happen. I don't care what we give up. We could give up our first round pick, second round pick, third round pick.
Yeah.
Boom. You do not let Myles Garrett ever become a Philadelphia Eagle. Because if he does, it's like that. What did the Giants owner or GM president say? Not GM. I think it was the president. He said, "Going to have nightmares if Saquon goes to Philly." Well, Washington fans, Giants fans, and Cowboys fans are going to have nightmares if Myles Garrett ends up joining the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think it would get really ugly with the Myles Garrett situation, because I don't see them trading him immediately. I feel like they're gonna play hardball. I feel like the owners want to take a stand a little bit across all sports with superstar players requesting trades. But I can see it getting a little uglier, and I don't see Cleveland getting that king's ransom that they once were, because I can feel that it's gonna have to get ugly before he gets traded. But yeah, those are teams I think should definitely put in a bid for him.
Do you think? I mean, I respect Garrett. I think he's a solid player. Do you think that if the Browns refuse to trade him, do you think like he'll play or not?
The type of player he is, yes. Should he do it? From a player's perspective, him wanting to win, no. If I was in his situation, I would play. That's just me. But I can, knowing the type of personality and character he is, he probably will play. But I think he'll hold out training camp, and it would get a little ugly before it starts. But yeah, that's my hope.
It's tough to say where he's going to land, but I mean, even with the Lions though, Zadarius Smith, he stepped up big. Is he a free agent now? Or are they going to re-sign him?
I don't know, but just thinking of like that D line, even if they do re-sign him, that D line with Aiden Hutchinson and Myles Garrett and that interior that they have, that would be a team that I would be confident can beat Philly, because they got the offensive line, they got the running backs, they got the receivers, they got everything to match. Only thing I can give Philly the heads up on is quarterback. That's literally the only thing. And I think at that point, both of them are going to balance each other out. So I think if we don't get him, I would rather Detroit get him, because I think that'd be the only chance to beat Philly. But
so you think it's a guarantee he goes to NFC team?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. I can't see them trading him to an AFC team. If they do trade him to an AFC team, he's not going to a contender. They're not going to trade him to a Kansas City. But I think Kansas City should be in the bid, though. Kansas City should 100% pick up that phone. That defense would be nice. I think Kansas City is not able to get pressure consistently enough. Needs some more pieces on the line. Definitely, I think they need something in the secondary. But yeah, Kansas City has some retooling to do. I know it's like hard to say retooling because they just went to the Super Bowl, but I feel like they need them. Essentially, essentially what the Philadelphia Eagles is going to set a precedent with, and I'm kind of glad they are. Um, you got to get them fat boys in the trenches. I think that's going to be a thing for teams is trying to build up the offense and defensive line. That's one of the things I've said over the weeks with the Commanders. Just sign the fat boys. That's all I want is an offensive and defensive line. If this
Did you see
game
that
doesn't
Eagles
show you
line,
one
bro?
thing, Adam Peters, please get my quarterback an offensive line. Get him a halfway decent. It don't got to be number one offensive line in the league. You're never going to get that. You're going to win too many games to be able to get picks like that. Just get him a top 10 offensive line that can be solid and give him enough time where he's just not getting beat the hell out of.
For sure. I mean, I was gonna say, bro, that Eagles O line is something different. I mean, they got one of those lines that you just that's something out of a video game. Like you got Mekhi Becton who at guard, like guards are usually supposed to be smaller. They said forget you play tackle, just move him to guard. Like their O line is huge, bro. And it's like how
That's what
can
we
you
should do
really
with Brandon Coleman. Listen to me, Dan Quinn. He's not a tackle. Put him at guard. Thank you. I know nothing now. All right.
and I don't even know why they didn't even do that because like if you think about it, okay, so right tackle is hold up, right tackle is Lucas, right? Or is that left?
Yeah. It's Lucas. Brandon Coleman's on the
Cosme
left side.
Cosme at right guard, center is what's his name?
Badass.
Our
That
best O lineman.
Tyler Biotish, and then you have
Or our
Wiley.
second best O lineman because Cosme's solid.
You have left guard. I think that's who the hell is that? Allegretti, something like that.
Allegretti's not good enough.
No,
Allegretti's
he been should been gone.
um
But
I mean I'd bring him back. I would bring him back for depth because O linemen get injured a lot. But nah, he's not a starting left guard for us anymore. No.
that's
We got
just looking at the Eagles offensive line. That's like one of the units that I'm interested to see how they, when their money comes up, how they re-sign some of them. I think that's the unit that they're gonna be able to keep. I don't think the
Becton's a
defensive
free
line,
agent.
huh?
Becton, I
Yeah, I
think
know.
his contract's up.
They're gonna resign him. They're not but allow him to test the waters. I think they'll let Josh Sweat, and I think they got like a defensive tackle. I don't think they're gonna let Mekhi Becton go. But I don't think they're gonna be able to resign their defensive line when it's time for them. I think that's just gonna be a lot of cap they're gonna have to come up with. But I mean, Howard Roseman figured this shit out. I don't wish him nothing but the worst. Hope he stub his toe. Yeah. I got to do that twice a year.
Zaire, what you think, man?
I don't know. There's just a lot of conversations going on. A lot of conversations going on, and then the interesting stuff with Miles Garrett and all that stuff. And a lot of big people that you wouldn't expect it have already requested for trades, like Cooper Cup, and then Debo Samuel. I kind of expected that, but Miles Garrett and Cooper Cup, and you're like, wow, they're really expecting want trades. And I'm just thinking, like during the entire Super Bowl, I'm just thinking about how all the stuff that Ravens could do to improve. Like number one, they need to actually run the ball. Like they see how that was so successful for the Eagles, but then just like defensively, our defensive line needs to get better, way better. And then I feel like having Roquan Smith by himself now would just without Patrick Queen, that has been a little bit detrimental for us. So
100%.
we need to have someone else to help Roquan Smith so he doesn't have to do everything by himself, and that can also help us as well. And then we also have to like force turnovers, and also if we do get turnovers, like we need to catch these interceptions and not let it drop. Like I'm just thinking back to that Browns game when they 5 dropped interceptions. So it's just a whole lot of things that teams could do to be better. So
Yeah. Some of these trade requests, it's definitely going to be interesting. If I'm the Ravens, like I've said to the fan base weeks ago, I would definitely look edge rusher, defensive line, and probably linebacker as well because you need speed. I think that's a game changer when you have a very fast linebacking crew. But I think one of the biggest things for you guys is just wide receivers. You just need playmakers on the outside. Also get Lamar a little bit more help. I think the Ravens, even though they're probably going to be back, but I just there's a lot of stuff the Ravens need.
Yeah, they got to make some
To beat
adjustments.
Kansas. Yeah, there's a retooling, slow retooling for Baltimore. Really for all the AFC teams because I really don't see none of them really being great.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree too. And like I said, I think all the AFC teams have been taking notes, especially to see what the Eagles have been doing. And as you were saying, like they get all the good, they have all the good players. Like I wish the Ravens could also help make had someone like on the Eagles, especially like their GM. Don't get me wrong, our GM he's fine, he does good too, but it's just these certain players that they're able to find. Where you're like, how did they get these people? And all that stuff. I wish the Ravens also had that as well. But yeah, I agree. Lots of changes to be made, especially for the AFC.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, man, the Eagles. So I was talking to one of my guys, um, and he thinks the Eagles are going to run it back. And
I can see it.
you said you agree.
I can I can see them possibly. I can see them definitely going back to back, but I can possibly see them being the first team to three-peat.
I'm gonna disagree. I'm
I,
gonna
I don't
disagree,
think I
man.
don't think I don't think the three-peat will happen because of Jalen Hurts, but I believe that roster itself, unless the NFL is gonna get better, but like the front line, that dominance that I seen, like I've never like really seen a D line dominant like that in a Super Bowl. Probably damn near in my life. I would have to recall it, but like those two sides of the ball, um, I could see them possibly being a team that could possibly three-peat. But I think the problem would be getting to that third one because I think the NFL will get better. I think that's when Jaden's really gonna put his foot up their ass. The rest of the NFL is asses, and I think teams are gonna get better. But I can definitely see them running it back.
What's good, Will? Welcome to the live, man. How you feeling, bro?
Feeling good, feeling good. Saw that game yesterday. Was a little surprising, but guess the Eagles are now, I guess, the top dog in the NFL. It's kind of weird, We gonna beat them next year, that's for a fact. But for right now, I let them, have their little, glory right now. But soon they're gonna come crashing down. So yeah, feeling good though.
Hey, man, I can't lie. I was extremely surprised too. Um, I don't think anybody expected the Chiefs to get punched in the mouth the way they did. Um, you can make the case, okay, you took the Eagles to win, but nobody expected that. And I think that the Eagles have a lot of, not the Eagles, the Chiefs have a lot of things to figure out. Um, I think that the offensive line was absolutely embarrassing. I mean, maybe I'm being emotional, maybe I'm being drastic, but the O line I saw yesterday from the Chiefs, I would cut every single O lineman except for the center because Creed Humphrey, he's one of the best in the league. Probably just had a bad night, but the rest of those guys are getting old. I'd say cut them. Bring in some other guys if possible. You can't upgrade everything, but it's possible. You draft O lineman, you got to lock in on that. But that was terrible. I mean, Mahomes was running for his life the same way he did when he lost against the Bucks, um, and it was bad.
Yeah, because I would say like I was just saying players like Trey Smith, who's going to be a free agent in this upcoming, free
Bring
agency
him here,
cycle.
baby. Got
And I'm
the
like, and
All
I'm like,
Pro.
bro, because he is an all pro, but I'm just seeing Jalen Carter just man to him.
I think that just shows the greatness of Jalen Carter. I think he will
It
be the
do.
best. He's gonna win a Defensive Player of the Year next year.
He definitely
Bucket.
is.
Um, I yeah, that it's just that team is just what it is. It ain't nothing else to say. I love the way this whole live we talking about everybody else but the MVP, Super Bowl MVP. I love that.
Yeah,
Well,
Jalen Hurts, I will give him his flowers and stuff. Like Eagles had their game approach to, yesterday's game was a little different than what I thought. I thought it was going to be like a heavy dose of Saquon, and then just let Jalen Hurts back out the way. Eagles like, nah, we're going to like have Jalen Hurts be an MVP. We're going to have, Jalen Hurts and go out there and outshine Patrick Mahomes by like a good amount and stuff, and just control the game. I mean, Eagles, their defense got out of, I mean, went after Patrick Mahomes like nobody else saw before. Like Patrick Mahomes, he has been pressured and sacked the most times in his career, this season. But it just showed, yesterday that how important winning in the trenches is in this NFL. If you don't win in the trenches, you're not gonna make it far. If you're not, prioritizing the defensive line, offensive line, you're not gonna make it far in this NFL. Eagles, they arguably have the best on both sides, the best offensive line and the best defensive line.
I mean, you
Looking
can't even
at
argue it, bro. Can't even argue it.
you
I
can't.
I think yes, the trenches, the fat boys will always matter. Um, on both sides of the ball. But I think you just need to be good enough and at least be able to hold your own. Um, like for us as the Commanders, I don't think we're ever gonna be able to build the best offensive line in sports. I don't see it. The only way you're able to do that is to like buy your way into it. But I think from like, sorry, just about to turn into a Commander show real quick. But I think our identity as a franchise should be up front in the trenches. That's how we won Super Bowls. But yeah, I think you need to be good. I'm not saying you got to be the best. Have some elite talent on the outside. I think you can take a team like this. You definitely have to be good up front. But like I think with the right QB, there's a chance. Or you just have to match up talent for talent, like I think Detroit's probably gonna do next year.
Yes, because I agree with you. Say like we just have to have like the best. We don't have to have the best or a top five O line, just a good enough O line and D line. Because Washington, they're going like try their best, to try to go after the Miles Garrett's or like Ronnie Stanley, someone like that. Because I saw in that Eagles game, like when Washington played him now in the Super Bowl, I'm like Brandon Coleman, he was getting cooked every play. And I'm like, that's Jane Daniels' blind side right there. So he can't, he don't know when his blind side getting pressured, that could like actually mess up a quarterback's like development and their mindset. Like look at Sam Howell, for example. Going back to last year with him, he was sacked like literally one of the most times and stuff. And you know, building that offense line is step one for progressing the QB into probably like helping your team be
The
like overcome these like
the
super powered teams like the Eagles and
the
stuff.
the craziest part about offensive line, one of my Commanders fans that I follow, shout out to Unc. Um, he said top offensive linemen don't hit the draft. I mean, don't hit free agency. You find them in the draft. I 100% agree with that. I think looking at teams and the way they build, less Philly. Philly just did it just very uniquely.
Yeah,
But looking at Detroit, I think that's the second best offensive line. They had top picks and just drafted O linemen. I remember a couple years ago when Dallas went damn near the whole draft drafting O linemen. But yeah, I think it kind of set a I won't say a new president, an old president of how to win football games. I think the league will follow suit.
What about uh you're absolutely right. You really don't find O linemen like that, O linemen in the free agency. You find them in the draft. But unfortunately, You might find an O lineman. You might find arguably the greatest left tackle of our generation on the trade market because Washington is just so stupid. We could have kept Trent Williams possibly if we had a new owner sooner, but everything worked out. I guess how it's supposed to. But I would really love to have Trent Williams right now. Maybe he'll retire. Maybe he'll make a comeback now that we got new ownership. Who knows?
I doubt it. Trent Williams, he's like way gone to Washington days. I was like, cause I was just about to say like we let a good left tackle go ourselves. Like,
And we left Brandon Scherf as well, one of the best
yeah,
guards at the time.
Yeah.
Let
yeah,
him
he
walk.
really was.
Yeah. Yeah, the Redskins used to have an offensive line when we couldn't find nothing else. But they're gonna find it out. AP gonna figure it out.
So do you think, with all that being said, I mean, maybe not first round, but second round has to be an offensive lineman?
I
Yeah,
believe whoever is the best on the board at 29, whether it's an offensive line, whether it's Mike Green, whether it's that offensive tackle from Ohio State, I think
Hampton? What about Marion Hampton too? Would you draft the back first round or no?
no. I'm very committed. I know we're gonna get into our offseason commanders talk.
For
Um,
sure, yeah.
if we do not trade for Garrett and do not trade our first, I am looking at an offensive and a defensive line. I don't think there are going to be any wide receivers that are going to fall at 29. You're going to have to find a guy in the second and third round. I've been watching. I follow a lot of Commanders fans and a lot of mock drafts that's been thrown out there. But I think you have to look at tackle, defensive line. That is like I am drilling that home. I probably would draft the running back second round. I think that's also like really important for this offense is a running back. I think a running back is damn near almost as important, if not more important, than receivers on the outside for us. But yeah, this team has so many holes. I think we're in the most precarious situation. I think this is um the most unique situation I think the NFL has seen. I'm not saying that because I am a Commanders fan. I'm saying it literally as a football fan. A team that won 4 wins last year to 12 wins in the NFC Championship game, and the team has a bunch of holes. I don't think nobody has ever seen this shit before. The closest we have seen was Houston, and I think Houston's going to be the goods next year. I think they're going to draft some offensive linemen for CJ. But yeah, very
yeah,
unique situation here in Washington.
yeah. I agree. Like for Washington, for me, running back is like the biggest need right now. For me, I would say offensive line is a big need, but I'm like, we gotta know how to run the football. In the playoffs, except for the Detroit game, Washington was terrible. Actually, like for about the past like 6, 7 weeks of the year, Washington didn't know how to run the football. Brian Gibson, I said Brian Gibson, excuse me. Brian Robinson was like 2, 3 yards and that was it. Every single carry. So Washington has an actual workhorse running back where they don't need to like entertain, the players almost like obviously like Saquon Barkley's and the Derrick Henrys. Those not those they were to come by. And but just someone who could like at least be that workhorse running back for Washington, who could be the passing back, the on third down, on 3rd and 1, they could hand him the ball, or on 1st and 10, they could hand him the ball. Someone does just like that, like Oakland. What's his name? North Carolina running back, Amarion Hampton. He's a good running back, but you know, I say they
What's
should look for someone like that in the
We
second round, but like in the first round, I say they should go after. I'm gonna say Ohio State's right tackle, Josh Simpson. I say that they should go after someone like that. So yeah,
yeah, we need a back, bro. We need a running back because, like I've said it in the past. Brian Robinson is not going to cut it. We're elevating, and we got a lot of guys on the roster that uh, they're of the past, and that goes for. And there's no disrespect. They may be able to shape themselves into what we're building in the new culture with a new owner, new GM, new coach, new quarterback. They may be able to shape themselves into that, but for the most part, um, I feel like And I also think that the GM Adam Peters feels like a lot of the old guys that were drafted then, free agent pickups of the past, Ron Rivera, when Dan Snyder was the owner, a lot of those guys, they gotta go. They gotta go. It's no disrespect. We're building a new culture here. There's certain guys that aren't built for that culture. But going back to the Eagles and the Super Bowl to keep it on topic, um, the respect has to go to Jalen Hurts for what he did. That has to go to Jalen Hurts. He balled out. He did make some mistakes with that one pick, but I know this man Julian, he hates giving Jalen Hurts respect, but he did his thing. I can't hate. I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts fan, but I give respect when it's due, regardless. So I don't care who it is. You gotta give respect when it's due, and he earned the respect. I don't think. I mean, it's way too early, but if you want to just pick my brain on it right now, if you were to ask me the question, I don't think Philly's going to run it back next year because, and I try to explain this to my guy. He seems to, he respected it, but he disagreed. I said we know the history with statistics in the NFC East. It's always a new winner in the NFC East. There's always a new winner. Like 21 straight years, it's been no back-to-back NFC East winner, right? So I'm basically saying this: if Philly goes into the playoffs and they're not a division winner and they don't have home field advantage, they don't do what they just did. Like Philadelphia's home field advantage is the best in the NFL. It's the best in the NFL. And it's very important to them making it far in the playoffs. And I just think that if Dallas gets it together, they draft Jonty, they have a chance. Washington, we already know we have a chance, and we're only going to get better this offseason. The Giants, they're not even in the conversation. But you know what it is, man. The Cowboys or the Commanders are going to lock in next season and try to take it from Philly, and people are already going to write that off. But the NFC East is the best division in football because it's competitive, and I like it that way. I like competitive football. I remember growing up watching RG3, Eli Manning, Tony Romo, and I think at that point the Eagles had Mike Vick. Those were good times, man. That's when it was the NFC East was like really competitive. I like that. So hopefully the Giants get competitive soon too, because I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with them being competitive. I think that makes the game better, and it makes your teams better too when they, because iron sharpens iron sharpens iron, and the NFC East is only going to get better and stronger.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, NFC East, it has a chance. It's not far fetched to say that the NFC East is going to be like this past year NFC North. I would say, because the NFC North, like they was just so dominant and stuff. It was like a stat that they said like they only lost like combined from Packers, Lions, and Vikings. They only lost like 3 or 4 games out of the division, and like every other loss was them beating each other. So I'm like, NFC East could happen, could like go on, streak like that. I said, it'd be better for the football game, for the game, and just better for the overall division, which I would say is already like the best division in football, but would just get even better with Dallas coming back, Giants, feeling like they got something drafting, potentially Shador Sanders or something. So
I, I
it'll
don't
be
think they're
better
gonna.
for the
Well, I'll say that for my mock draft. Yeah, I'll save that. I'll save that. But um, you know, if they do get Shador, I would love that for the Giants. Now, I don't know if the Giants GM and all those, those old rich guys up in there, respect to them, but I don't think they don't have a history of drafting guys like Shador Sanders. I'll just say that. But
They talk about
maybe
my
they'll come to their
organization.
senses.
How we
You
read
said
it.
what?
I said they talk about our organization and our history with drafting certain players and having certain players on their team. And the Giants haven't had that certain player at the quarterback position start ever in their franchise history.
I mean, they just got the first quarterback to start and win a football game in Giants history was Tyrod Taylor 2 years ago.
That's it. Like only Tyler Taylor.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Tyrod Taylor is the only black quarterback to start and win a football game for the New York Football Giants organization, which is over 100 years old. They just did it 2 years ago with Tyrod Taylor, and unfortunately, it was against us.
Wow. So it's like it's
So
not.
who knows? They might mess around and draft Jackson Dart or somebody. Who knows?
Knowing the Giants, they probably will draft Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I
And
won't be
Jackson Dart.
surprised if
I
they do
mean,
something like
but
that.
but hey, I don't want to disrespect Jackson Dart because one of my guys, Aiden, who's been on the channel before, he's in our group chat. Um, he told me to look out for Jackson Dart, and I'm not going to disrespect him. I just think that hey, there's certain levels to this. I'm going to do a deep dive this off season on the film. I've already started watching some film on Cam Ward. I mean, I'm going to do a deep dive, and just like last year, I studied the quarterbacks in the class. And you know what's funny? Last year, when I studied the quarterback class, there were some things I noticed. I said with the 2024 quarterback class, I said the highest ceiling, I said Caleb Williams. The most prepared NFL ready at the moment, I said is between Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix. And look what they did in their rookie years. They were the most NFL prepared, and they were the top 2 rookie quarterbacks this year. So I think I knew what I was talking about a little bit. We're going to see how it goes long term, but in year one, I think I got some of those things right. And I think that with this draft class, it's going to be interesting too. It's really going to be interesting. I just hope the Eagles don't get that guy out of Marshall. If they do let Josh Sweat go, Julian, man, that pass rush out of Marshall, I would love to see him with the Commanders, but who knows? He might fall. He might fall.
if he falls, I'm taking that. I would take it in a heartbeat. I would take Josh Sweat. I would take that D tackle they have. I know it was also rumored that we are looking at a D tackle from Dallas.
Yeah.
He's like a run stopper.
Oh,
I
Diggy
would
Zoo.
literally just load up on offensive and D linemen, and I figure out the wide receivers there. I would just draft one late, like second, like third, fourth round, second, third round. That's when I would draft one.
We had a
Just
lot of D linemen this year. We really
yeah,
didn't do that.
they said it's a really really good D lineman class. So I would honestly, even if you couldn't get one in the first, I would still look early. Try to trade somebody for a pick, but yeah.
Oh, they're gonna fall. A lot of them will fall. And I was gonna say, I think that if you look at Washington's defense, we had a lot of D linemen that were like, I'm gonna be honest, we had some random guys out there, bro, and they were balling though. I can't lie, they were balling. But I'm like Jalen Holmes, I didn't know who he was before this year.
Oh, like Sheldon Day.
Sheldon Day, talk about it, bro. Sheldon
Yeah,
Day,
we had
yeah,
Sheldon
bro.
Day out there trying to make plays against Eagles. I'm like, yo, who are
What is
these kids
Sheldon
that
Day
getting
gonna
picked?
do against Lane Johnson or any of those
I'm
linemen, bro?
saying,
I know he's
like,
interior, so he's probably against Makai back then in the center too. Landon Dickerson, like he wasn't doing crap against none of those guys, and it's not his fault. That's just bad personnel. That's just bad depth because you got to get some guys who are really playmakers, man. I mean, if Jalen Carter is ever a free agent, let's throw the bag. Just throw the bag. But hey,
throw
I
that's
don't
probably not
everything you
happening.
have.
I don't think Philly will ever let him walk out that
Yeah, he's
organization.
not
Just
ever
like I
walking.
don't think Dallas. I don't know why is this stupid report from fans that Dallas is considering trading Micah. No, they're not. Shut up.
Yeah,
They're
like
gonna
it,
sign him. He's gonna be a Cowboy for life. He's gonna be a Bama for life.
and those
I don't want him
reports.
on my team because he a podcast boy. I can't do no podcast boys on my team.
Yeah, and those reports they just be annoying. Like it'll be like it's a possibility that Dallas is thinking about doing. Like, what you mean it's a possibility? It's either they are or they're not. What's the
I mean,
possibility
people
gonna?
people just report on the Cowboys like every day. Like I think that there's a lot of false reports out there. Michael Parsons, I think he's going to stay with the Cowboys for now. Could he possibly come to Washington in the future and team up with Dan Quinn? Let's hope so. But then again, I know this man Julian not rocking with him because of the podcast, but I like Michael Parsons. He's a good player. He does talk a little too much for a player that should be, locked in. But then again, I don't view it always as a negative thing. It could be negative in certain situations, but like a lot of these players are kind of building their own career now. The career that they're looking forward to after football, they're kind of working in that career now rather than waiting until they retire. Because there's been stories about a lot of players who like will play football their whole lives, and then when football's done, they don't know what to do with themselves. So good for Michael Parsons for kind of like exploring his interest I know he's still talking about football, but talking about football and playing football is a little different. So, I mean, good for Micah. Sometimes it is a distraction though, but I feel like this Super Bowl, going back to that, this Super Bowl, I'm gonna be honest, y'all gonna hate me for this. Yo, Julian always say y'all gonna hate me for this. No, y'all might hate me for this. Okay, I watched the Super Bowl with family, and watching it, I said this is probably one of the worst Super Bowls we watched in the last decade. And not only that, the halftime show was not all that either. Um, y'all, I don't know, y'all might not like that take, but I don't know. The halftime show wasn't all that either.
I said, but yeah, the halftime show is alright to me, but the overall Super Bowl, I'm just like, but it was probably easy one of the worst Super Bowls. From start to finish, it felt like no time it was actual real game. I'm like, it didn't even make sense. I'm like thinking at least at halftime our Chiefs gonna like at least try to do something, do a comeback. They got the first down of the second half, but then like Mahomes got sacked 2 times and then they punt the ball. So I'm like, is this really how this game is going to be? Like where the Chiefs don't even give like any type effort. And the halftime show, it was alright to me. Kendrick, he was trying to do his thing.
He was
You
trying to do his
know,
thing. It's crazy, bro.
yeah, he was
He
trying to do his thing. It was alright to me, but
was all
you
right.
know,
Wow.
I wanted
I
to
got
see
my man
Drake out
Jalen in
there.
here. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's going on? Um, yeah, but y'all just y'all talk about how the Super Bowl went.
Yeah. We're talking about the Super Bowl. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Will. You can go ahead.
Oh no, I was done. I was done. I was, just saying like how the halftime performance, was alright. Kendrick, he was trying to do his thing, trying to hype up the crowd with everybody just like getting ready to leave because the Super Bowl was just so boring. But it was alright. It was alright. I said that.
If I could speak,
Yeah,
I
go.
know I just got on here, but for starters, I like to say that I definitely had the Eagles winning this for sure. I I will admit I didn't think it was going to happen in such a dominant fashion, in the dominant fashion that it did. But I can say that I felt like I saw this coming. And what I noticed with the game was at the beginning of the game, the first thing I noticed is they started to pack the box. They started the last story. The first thing they did when they came out was we're gonna hold Saquon. That was their game plan. And you could see it. Even like they was really adamant about um keeping him keeping him in check because every time he got the ball, like usually when you see Saquon get the ball, he gonna make people miss, gonna like shake off a couple tacklers. You didn't see that too much in this game. He did his thing, um, like 57 yards or so, and 60 yards receiving. Pretty sure that was the stats.
Probably yeah, 60-yard receiver. I don't know about that. 60 yards receiving.
Let me check, but I'm pretty sure it was up there. Anyway,
I mean, you could simplify it by saying that Saquon got pretty much limited. He got limited.
no,
You know?
I mean this is how I'm gonna put it. This is how I'm gonna put it. I think Saquon got too much attention. That's what I think happened.
I mean,
And
that's every single game, bro.
hold on, no, it's not. Because this is the
It is
difference.
though.
No,
It
no, this is
is.
the difference. The difference is the fact that one, this is a Super Bowl game. You don't get no second chances or any regular season games to rectify any mistakes you make. Two, oh, you get a halftime, but that's about it. Two, if you stack in the box and you got two receivers like AJ uh, and Devontae Smith, and even Deshaun Dotson and the tight end Goddard. You got,
Jahan. Oh
hey,
Jesus,
he scored, did he not?
Mhm.
he
He
did not.
didn't. He was stopped on the
He did
one.
not
Did
He
he?
was
Did
score.
stopped
he?
on
Did
the
he?
one.
Did he?
He did not
Hey,
He was
score.
short.
He was
oh,
stopped
he
on
was
the
short.
one. Then they did
He
tiff play.
was short.
Regardless,
He balled out.
they have guys. So for you to sit there and stack the box when
Two, two,
where
two
they have
number
pass
one.
center,
Two,
it
two, two
don't
number
matter.
ones. Two number ones, not Jahan. When I say the Eagles, roster is great, and they got like probably the best position group each by each. He ain't a part of that. They got two
Who?
number one wide receivers. Literally,
Which I
Devontae
thought
Smith
ain't that
will be a
bad.
number one on damn near any team in the NFL. I said it.
Whoa, no, he nah.
100%. Name them out.
Any
Name me your team. I
any
can tell
team?
you.
Bengals,
Yes.
Bengals,
You said, hold
Vikings.
on. You
You're
said
talking
Yeah,
about
they
the
the
best
best.
you got
receiver
a
in the
lot of
league.
teams
They
You're
that
got
are
talking
out
about
wide
the
there.
best
They
receivers
got
receiver in the
already.
league.
receivers that you can't just
You're talking
come in
about the
there.
best receiver in the league. So you
Hold
tell
Nah,
on,
me
hold
he
on,
ain't
bro.
the
hold on.
number one. So you tell
The
me he ain't the
best wide
number one in
receiver room.
Buffalo? He ain't the number one in
Well,
Buffalo?
maybe in Buffalo, but
Not
that's
He ain't the
maybe
number
Buffalo.
in
one
They
in
just they
Buffalo.
Baltimore?
just you
He the
gonna
number one in
compare
Baltimore?
He's not.
Buffalo, who just got rid of.
Zay
They
Flowers the
just
number
got
one.
rid of all their receivers. So that's not even
Okay, I do your
that.
team. Is he not a number
And they
one
still
in
have
Baltimore?
They still have Coleman, and
Is he not a
they
number
Zay
just
one
got
in
Marcus
Baltimore?
Flowers. Zay
Is he
in
Flowers the
not a
number
number
one.
Baltimore.
one in the Ravens? He's a number
No.
one in my
Yeah, but
What are you
he's
opinion
talking about?
fighting
with the
for it.
Ravens.
But he's fighting for it though, because you still
I know
have
he ain't fighting for it. He got it.
you still have Bateman and you still have Zay. Now
I say
I'm
Hold
not
on,
Zay
hold
saying
on,
they're
Flowers
on the
Comparing
better
same
him to
too.
level.
Bateman?
Hold on
hold
now.
on, hold
Hold
on,
on,
hold
hold
Zay
on.
on, hold on.
Flowers
Let me
is
speak.
better.
Are we saying
Comparing
Devontae?
Because y'all not letting me
to
finish, and it's making my point. You're not letting me finish my point. My point being,
That's the point I'm
first
making.
off, if you want to talk about the Ravens, right now we wouldn't if we just shifted Devontae to our team. First off, that's weird because right now Bateman is showing progress. He's on the uprise. For this year, he's pretty much he's been
So I
very
got a question
consistent
for
and
you.
healthy. And then
So I got a
Zay,
question.
what
Who's the number one in your team right now?
right now is Zay.
So he's competing with Zay, not Bateman. Bateman will be a third. Devontae Smith will be
Yeah,
a
if
number one
Devontae Smith
in
got on the
Baltimore.
team, that would push Bateman to the third. But my point being with Bate is that I still don't know what he's going to be yet because he's still showing some progress. He has yet to show me that he's hit his wall. So with that, but if you want to talk about Devontae going on almost any team, it's not a lot of teams out there. Houston, if their guys were healthy, they'd be stacked.
Steelers.
You got
We can go
tons of
through. We
teams
can
out
go
there
through
with
division by
receivers.
division. We can go through division by division. AFC North. Okay, I say it. I take them over Pickens. Shoot, that's one. Ravens, Cleveland, whole and the AFC North. He took it. Let's go to another division. Shit, you think he wouldn't go to the Chargers and start? Because he damn sure would. I'd take him in Kansas City for sure. I'd take him
I mean, why is
in
this
the
even a
Raiders
debate
for
though?
sure. Hmm.
Why is
We
this a
just said
debate? I
AFC
don't even
North.
know. All he said, I don't remember is I was talking about how the how they were stacking the box of Barkley leaving
Yeah,
the
he started to bring up
Devontae
Jahan. He
and
started to get
AJ.
Jahan, and that's what
And
started
then he
this.
said,
Don't bring up Jahan.
"Nah, those are two," and I said something about Jahan, and he said, "Nah, those two are number one receivers," which has
No,
nothing to do with Jahan Dotson, which is actually a
he ain't
pretty
no good
No,
solid
you gotta
receiver.
receiver. Yeah,
understand.
He didn't contribute a damn thing.
You gotta understand though that let's be clear. Let's be clear about something. The Eagles receivers weren't successful just because they stacked the box with Saquon, bro. They were elite receivers before Saquon even joined their team. That's what you gotta understand.
yeah.
Like
No,
Devontae
no,
Smith,
no, no. You're not
Devontae
just because
Smith
I
and
didn't even get
AJ
to finish
Brown
my
don't do
point.
Saquon,
Hold
bro.
on.
They don't do
Hold on, because
him.
I didn't even get to finish my point because I was in the middle of talking about what my point was with that in the first place. I don't care what team you're on. I don't care what game that it is. When it's a must win, or you're sitting in a must win situation, and that's the type of offense you're looking at. Look, when you have a guy like Saquon sitting in the backfield, and you change your defensive game plan to stacking the box. I don't. To be honest, you're right. Devontae and AJ have shown they can produce without that. But imagine giving them more to work with. Now you're putting them on more one-on-one situations. Which is what you don't want to do. If me personally, I wouldn't want to do that. They just wanted to bet
But how
on.
do
It
you
seemed
get
like they just wanted to bet on Hurt's hand, Hurt's arm. But whatever. My point being, it makes the situation 10 times better for them wide receivers. On now, like if you're that elite and you get a one-on-one, matter of fact, who in the right mind wouldn't throw it downfield? Do you see AJ one-on-one with somebody or Devontae one-on-one? Who? No, nobody. Everybody's taking that. They're like, bro, one-on-one, throw that ball. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not just trying to say like get credit. Oh, it's sick, but no, like the fact that it was so much so that they had to shift their game plan to attacking the boxes. Honestly, they could have just went at it like any other team would have, and just been like, "No, what? We're gonna mix up the defense. We're going," which they tried to. It was a really messy. It looked really messy on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, as you can look at the score and
but like
tell.
the question is then how do you stop them? Like it you can't stock the box because they got number ones. You can't let Saquon run. It's nothing you can do. Like the game plan is the game plan. Like you don't have the players and the personnel to go against this offense. Like you don't have the D line. I mean, Chris Jones they did what they had to do to stop the run. Like
You're
I
right.
would just rather than the game plan was the game plan. That I don't feel like Kansas City defense played horrible.
They
Nah,
didn't.
they played to what they had, and honestly, I think, and like you're right, they didn't really have the personnel, and I blame this on a little bit on the front office because um
Absolutely.
they let a guy like Snead walk to Tennessee or something. I forgot
They
where he
traded him.
went.
They traded him.
Yeah,
Two of
they
them.
got rid of him. They got rid of him. They sent him. So what you're basically trying to do is stack the box and leave these DBs one-on-one. All you got Trent Duffy and a couple other guys out there fighting for their lives. So like when you make decisions like that, when you get rid of corners that are those are the guys that you have built up for. Well, they had Snead for a while too. Built him up and then you just send them off, and then now you're paying for it. Now you're paying for it. So now when you're trying to do something like stacking the box, you're just trying to be like, all right, well, we're gonna have to make Hurts earn it. We're gonna make them receivers earn it. The receivers not really having to work that hard for it because you don't have the personnel out there, and they kind of had the pass rush, and Chris Jones was trying. I felt bad for him because
I
I've
don't see
had
the pass rush doing anything. Jalen Hurts had all day to throw.
yeah, but I see Chris Jones getting some penetration. He was getting some rushing,
It's
but
your D tackle shouldn't be your best pass rusher. Can we get that through people's head? Like that's like so rare. Like the only guys who are like that is like Aaron Donald and Chris Jones. Like your D tackle should not be your best pass rusher, and that just tells you that the Chiefs have a lot of work to do.
yeah,
They definitely do.
they got they got they got they got work to do because they were just shown that how when they were put up against a team like, and there's not a lot of teams like the Eagles out there right now, like offensively, but they
See, guys,
shown
I'm
that
not.
they weren't really flexible enough to be able to play that,
See,
like
guys, I'm
move
not
them.
a hater. I don't
My
just
man
hate
Kendall in the
all.
group chat, or my man Kendall in the live stream chat, he says the Ravens Super Bowl champs next year. We gonna see about that.
Yeah,
But
well, if we don't get it next year, there's something wrong. Like we might have to
But yeah,
but
revamp the
no,
whole.
we do know this though. We do know this. If y'all don't get it next year, you said something's wrong, right? No matter what happens next year, Ravens fans are gonna find an excuse for Lamar Jackson. And I'm a Lamar Jackson fan, but like it's like at this point it's disgusting the way that you guys like say it's never his fault. When you turn the ball over twice in a football game in the playoffs, you're dang right it's your fault. Yes.
Well, first, hold on. First off, I don't like how you just talk about something. It's never his fault. Like we don't say, we don't. I
We
point out.
don't.
I point
We
out.
don't.
Don't get me wrong. Yes, I do. I literally, when we were talking personally, I pointed out that I was like, yeah, I do agree. He did turn the ball over a couple times, but because
You minimize the issue.
I was explaining to you what really disgusted me personally about that game in Buffalo. And this is the first time I'm coming up. Honestly, to be real, I'm gonna be real. I wasn't planning on coming back to next season. I was like, no what? I'm just gonna just be patient and just wait till next season and see what happens. But I'm gonna talk about it. What really disgusted me about that game was the fact, okay, if to sum it up really like short sweet, if Mark Andrews had made that catch, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about that right now, about this. This conversation wouldn't even be happening. But I'm saying it's just a different it's just a different type of feeling when like, all right, you went through all that, right? You smart, you fumbled. He threw like I think he threw a pick. I can't remember now. I know he fumbled one, and then I think
Still pick a
he threw.
horrible.
He threw a pick to the right side of the field. I remember that one. Pick, fumble, and then Mark fumbled, and Mark had a couple drops, and I think somebody else fumbled. I forgot, but all that you get to the end of the game, like everything's looking like it's lining up. But get to the goal line. Like I honestly, when he threw the pass, and I started celebrating because I saw the way Mark was leaning. I was like, "Oh, that's a touchdown!" He leaned right into the end zone. I thought I saw him catch the ball, but then I seen the ball like bounce out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like
All due respect, bro.
to lose to
All
a
right,
catch.
please make the point because I don't want to make.
You can minimize this to simply saying the fact that what I have been saying for a long time, the better quarterback in that game won the game. And that's usually the case. When you're the best quarterback in a football game, your team usually wins. And Lamar Jackson in that game wasn't a better quarterback. Anytime you have 2 turnovers, you're probably not going to be the better quarterback that day. And I'm not saying it's solely on Lamar because it wasn't, but I do think that, you know, Lamar gets a lot of excuses sometimes, and it's always Harbaugh's fault. It's always somebody else. It's Mark Andrews' fault, bro. Lamar Jackson, outside of the Ravens, outside of the Eagles, the Ravens have one of those stacked teams too. They have a team with a lot of talent. They have a team. They have a team with a lot of All Pros, Pro Bowlers. They have a team that is good enough for Lamar Jackson to win a Super Bowl with right now. They need to make adjustments, but that team's good enough for them to win a Super Bowl right now.
I disagree with them roster competing with Philly. I think nobody want to hear this.
Competing, but they're up there. They have a stacked roster.
The only team that I think that really has the roster to compete is Detroit. I think we have the quarterback to compete that they don't have, which I think the reason why they never beat them. But yeah, I think the Ravens have a good roster, but I think there's holes, and Ravens fans like to be in denial of it. But yeah, I think they got some retooling.
I'm wondering why we always depicted to be in denial of anything. That's crazy.
I mean, wow. I do. I think like I said it like weeks ago, like a while ago, that they should have traded for Devontae Adams, and I had Ravens fans telling me we shouldn't. I think he would have made a difference in that game.
I think it depends on who you talk to, because a lot of us was banking on a receiver that was more so like a go get type of guy, and I think that's something else that hurt us, because Deontay Johnson was supposed to be that secondary, the security blanket guy. So just in case something happens to one of our players, we have someone, and we went for him out of all people, and it didn't go well.
I need y'all to look at this chat. I don't know if Kendall was saying hell nah to me, but when I said trade for Devontae Adams, but you know that's the that I'm talking about. But okay. I think for refer, I think I said in the pod, but I think the Ravens should low-key probably try to trade for Tyreek if he is available. I think that would be nice for y'all.
See, I mean, they could do that, and they probably still wouldn't win. It probably would still be excuses for Lamar. I mean,
it will always be excuses. They would never not allow. I get it though. I mean, I'm gonna be like that for Jaden.
I'm not though. I'm not because Jaden Daniels doesn't throw two. He doesn't have 2 turnover games in the playoffs. So my quarterback just can't relate. But it's and mind you, he's playing better defenses too. He's not
No,
playing
your
the good.
quarterback can't
His
relate
defense
because
is
they're
not an elite
both our
defense.
quarterbacks are in Cancun right now. Relax.
Okay,
All
I'm just being real.
quarterbacks are
I'm
in
just being real.
Cancun right now.
I say,
Quarterback
look,
played
they both
better
looking,
against
they both at the same
the
piece
Eagles
right now. I'm
defense
just
than
saying,
anybody else.
none of
Lamar was giving my
our quarterbacks
quarterback
made it to the
drinks
Super
at the
Bowl.
airport. Lamar was giving my quarterback drinks at the airport because he was already there. He already had a week to get there. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
First come, first serve.
Regardless, though, be honest, this one I like to this from my guys. Honestly, there is no to be real. Some fans give excuses, but to be real, there is no excuses, and Lamar knows that himself because if you talk to him or look at anything he's said so far, he doesn't blame nobody but himself. So we, at the end of the day, we know what's going on. So I could talk about that game as much as I want. I mean, I'll give props to him though for putting us in a position to possibly win that game because that could have just been a situation where it was just a shutout. But I will say, moving forward, there's a couple other pieces we need to add. I know definitely what those pieces are.
Defensive line, please.
We need an edge rusher. We need an edge rusher. We need a corner, and we need O line. We need O line real bad.
You get it. Bing bing and a wide receiver. Another one, please.
And we're probably gonna have to get one more. We just need one though.
Just a good one that you can just always.
You might need 2.
We need one.
I think I need some receiver help. I think I'll be fine.
Because there's a lot of free agents. I mean, I think I see I have a feeling some type of move is gonna happen. It might be. Everybody's talking about Cooper Kupp. Y'all seen that?
Yeah, you get Cooper Kupp. I promise you, you're gonna be disappointed. No.
No, I don't want him. I'm just saying, like, there's options. Personally,
okay.
if me personally,
but these options. So what? I mean, why mention
options?
I'm just pointing it out.
Like I know exactly what you're gonna say, and I hope y'all don't do that. I pray y'all don't do that.
Do what?
Hope you do not. Are you gonna say Debo?
No. No. Oh my goodness.
No, he's not going to say Debo. He's going to say his one of his favorite receivers, D Hop, who's washed. He's going to say.
I'm going to say Garrett Wilson.
No, I'm not going to say Garrett.
Garrett Wilson coming to Washington if he.
Garrett Wilson needs a quarterback that can throw 80 plus yards. So I'm
just for that. I hope Garrett Wilson comes to Baltimore. Yo, Garrett.
I respect Lamar, but I think that there's a guy in Washington who has a better arm than him. But
all I care about is if we get a consistent receiver that can. We got speedy receivers. We got receivers that can. I just want a receiver that can go up and get it when
y'all need a big receiver.
That's what I'm saying. That's all it. That's it. Or I don't. He didn't even have to be big. As long as he can go up and get it, I don't care.
So, do you think that's more of something that you could find in the draft or free agency?
That's a good question. If you're looking for like veteran experience, then obviously free agency. But you might be able. There's a couple guys that see. I would do both. Use some of your draft picks for that, and but the first couple of draft picks got to be used for that O line. It got to be used for an edge rusher, and if not, I think what we might do is go after a free agent for an edge rusher now, because we're seeing a couple guys out. I mean, everybody's seeing Myles Garrett, and you can call me delusional or what, but I would love to see Myles Garrett in purple and gold. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, but you're not understanding. Why would the Browns trade them to you? Like division
exactly.
Right?
Well, first off, it happened. Let's be real. This happened. This definitely happened before, right?
That's something that's big.
Matter of fact, let's be real. It's happening. Like the biggest one of all. The Eagles traded Saquon to the
He didn't
I
trade
mean
him.
the
He was
Giants.
signed.
Well, he was signed, but same thing because they. Who else was? If I'm being real, why would you let? You don't let Saquon go. Anyway, that's neither here. We talked about that already. Point being, like, yeah, we probably would have to give up a pretty penny, but I think it's possible if
I don't.
if we give enough, it's a slight
You don't
chance.
have
Like,
enough,
either
bro.
that or Max
Y'all don't have
Amount of
enough.
Crosby.
picks you guys
Max,
have to
If
give to let them trade him inside the division is absolutely.
you're gonna have to give up Marlon
Bro,
Humphrey.
that's not happening.
You're gonna have to give up like 3 or 4 first rounders. Not
Plus,
gonna
like
lie.
Zay Flowers.
Yeah, you're
Plus,
gonna have to throw a bag.
I
Like
don't
it's
think
gonna
it.
have to be generational.
Well, I don't know because I mean, looking at Cleveland, I don't know what's going to save them. They're gonna
Nothing.
they're gonna be like this for a minute, but
I mean, hey, Cleveland, it looks bad now and it's been bad, but I think that what's smart for them is I think they might just have to go ahead and rebuild again. I think that if you trade Miles Garrett, you might as well just go ahead and trade Denzel Ward too. Because
for real.
like at that point it's like if you trade your best player on the team, then you clearly making a statement that you're not trying to win.
That's another question. How do you feel about guys like that? Like, let's say you're another bona fide star on the team, and then you see a piece like Miles Garrett being traded. Like, what do you
I
think
think
that
Denzel
does?
Ward already said that. He already said that if Miles Garrett gets traded, he's gonna probably want out as well.
Yep, because that's how you know that franchise is now in the rebuilding process. Me personally, if I'm a young star, I don't want to be part of a rebuilding process. I mean,
I respect
there's
that,
some
yeah.
guys that do like Miles Garrett. That's what he's been doing for most of his career. He's tired of it. Now he's like what 28, 29. They're like at the end of
He's
his
about to
career,
turn 30.
about to turn. Yeah, so like he's like I spent most of my career trying to rebuild with y'all and get us to a chance point where we could win. But so it's about time for him to get out there. Where do y'all think he's gonna go?
The NFC, either
Um,
Washington or Detroit or Philly.
if he
I
gets
want
traded,
I
though,
think no, here's what I think. I think that Miles Garrett is either going to be a Washington Commander, Atlanta Falcon,
Oh,
or um or he doesn't get traded. There's a possibility. People keep talking about the landing spots. There's a possibility he doesn't get traded.
yeah, I
But then
do
again,
agree.
it's a long process. Free agency is going to come before the draft and all that situation, and the off season's coming around. So it's
Yeah,
a lot of moves that can be made. But on the main point, with the Super Bowl this year, um, I know that before you joined, Jalen, my guy Julian was saying that the Eagles really do have a possibility of finding a way to go for back to back and possibly a three-peat. And I said it right here, right now, and we can take a look back on this maybe a year from now. The Eagles are not going to go back to back. The Eagles are not going for a three-peat. The Eagles, like a large part of their success, I know they have a super team, but a large part of their success has a lot to do with the fact that they had home field advantage throughout this playoffs. They didn't have to travel. They didn't have to go into somebody else's trap and take over their trap. Um, the NFC East has 21 straight division winners. It's a revolving table. It's always revolving doors. And I just don't see it, man. I just don't see. I mean, it's very possible. It can happen. I'm not trying to act like it can't happen. I could easily be wrong. I'm just saying that it's hard to make it back to the Super Bowl twice. It's hard to make it back to back. And
I think the
that do
reason
that, they usually have a really good quarterback.
the
Really,
reason that does happen is just because of like the offensive and defensive line. I think
Yeah,
if they keep them intact and if they again trade for Miles Garrett, I think that is a very well
can they
possibility.
afford Miles Garrett?
Yeah,
good question.
they have the money. They don't need the picks. There's nothing stopping them. If they want him, they can offer a better offer than Washington because we even though we can trade for him for his picks wise, but like we ain't gonna give up 4 or 5 damn picks like that. I don't see that happening. That's why I say he's to an NFC team. But I also think, and I've also said this, I don't see no other team outside of teams in the NFC beating Philly or stopping Philly. So
I'll just say this because
honestly, I think I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I thought Bob, I said like Philadelphia, they are like a good team, a generational team, but we also got settle down because they almost lost the Rams. Like if it wasn't, they was like so close to losing to Rams that none of this
Matthew
would have
Stafford,
happened.
top 5 quarterback, and I keep telling y'all, ain't nobody want to believe me.
He's not though.
Top 5, almost beat the Super Bowl team.
I can't wait for Matthew Stafford to retire, and then the Rams get a new quarterback, and y'all realize that Sean McVay, you finally give him the credit he deserves, bro. The same way with Kevin O'Connell, like Sean McVay.
I said Sean McVay is the best
offensive
in the league. I've never
Kevin
not
O'Connell,
gave
he
him
good
credit.
though.
I've never not gave McVay credit.
But
I think he's like
I think sometimes you do give.
I think
sometimes you do give.
Top 5 though.
I don't know. I don't think he's top 5, man. I'm sorry. He's not top 5.
5 quarterbacks better than him though.
I mean, that's not even hard, bro. We got Patrick Mahomes, we got Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. 4, you got Joe Burrow. 5, I'm taking Jaden over him right now. Rings, he got his ring years ago. We're talking about right now. Jalen Hurts is not better than Matthew Stafford, but I think he's right. He's right up there. I'd take Herbert.
I would say Justin Herbert.
Herbert, that's close.
I would say Justin
Actually,
Herbert better than Matthew Stafford.
Hell no.
I don't know. No.
Matthew Stafford is top 5.
But, I mean, maybe talent-wise and regular season-wise.
Maybe Stafford's at 6. At 6, maybe.
Matthew Stafford is at 5 for me. I put Jaden.
So by that logic, do you think Matthew Stafford would have won 12 games and 2 playoff games with this Commanders roster? Please tell me that he would, please.
No.
Not a chance. Especially with that O-line, he would have been sacked every play. He can't run. He can't.
He could barely
What are we
run.
talking about, bro?
I love Jaden Daniels. I love Jaden Daniels. Hold on, let me get this out. I love Jaden Daniels. This is year 1. Matthew Stafford has done this his entire fucking career. Do you know what he had in Detroit? Okay, right. Top 5. Thank you.
Yeah, he had an all-time great receiver by the name of Calvin Johnson, who's probably a top 5 greatest receiver in NFL history. That's what he had.
Yeah, he did like retire.
He had a receiver who almost went for 2,000.
What else did he have around him? Nothing.
I'm not here to argue that. His rosters really weren't that good back then.
Completely nothing.
I mean, can I say? I think
you're saying that like they did something. What did they win a playoff game?
No.
Did the Lions even win a playoff game? So
never.
We're giving him credit for something that's like okay,
5. Like regardless, I'm still going to put him top 5. He's better than most of your favorite quarterbacks outside of the 4 that you named that is in front of him. Thank you. He's top 5. He won a ring.
I'll say this.
He won a ring.
He's better than nobody's favorite quarterback in this live because we got 2 Washington fans and 2 Ravens fans. So he's not better than Lamar or Jaden. So I'm sorry, bro.
I'm not trading Jaden Daniels straight up for Matthew Stafford.
I'm not trading Jaden Daniels for no damn body. I've said that weeks ago. I'm not trading for Lamar or Patrick Mahomes. I'm not trading Jaden Daniels over anybody.
The better question is
I don't
this.
give a damn if it's Myles Garrett.
Going back to the Super Bowl, though, Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl, right? Where is he in your top 10?
He top 10. He's just not top 5.
Okay,
I hate this man. I've said he is top 10. He's just not top 5. He's right outside, probably like 7, 8.
Mm-hmm.
8. Put me.
So would you take? I agree. He's definitely in the top 10. But would you say he's better than Herbert?
Yes, he's definitely better than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, he's like a.
It depends.
See, if you get to the see, this is the thing. If you get to the playoffs and all that regular season, like shine, bumps, like comes off, like then to me, like that automatically drops you. I'm sorry. Like when as soon as I seen freaking Justin Herbert in the playoffs, like he played good all season. Then he got to the playoffs. I'm not blaming it just on him. I'm just saying
You
it
can
just
blame him.
didn't look good.
Justin Herbert has
But we're
never won a
asking, we're
playoff game.
asking we're talking about quarterbacks right now. We're talking about who's the better quarterback. And I saw
I
his
mean, I got a
play,
stat right
and
here.
it didn't look
Hurts,
good.
right?
I
So
think
I
it
don't.
depends on what you value from a quarterback. And that just is personal preference. But
I'm
what I
taking,
put
I'm gonna be
above
honest.
him,
I'm taking.
talent wise, no, I'm not. I'm not putting talent, just pure talent, like arm strength, all the intangibles. Fuck no, absolutely not. But far as play this season, probably I will put him there.
Yeah,
He's
I
seven.
agree with that.
But far as what I value as a quarterback, far as like playing the position, the quarterback, coin flip. And I'm not saying that because I hate Jalen Hurts. I've had people tell me that like coach the actual position that like it's not the quarterback the way it is played. Like, yeah. But no, I would just give it to Jalen Hurts.
So
He's
Jalen
selling me.
Hurts. I'm looking at the playoff wins among 2020 NFL draft class quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts has the most playoff wins out of all of those guys. You
With the
got
best
Jalen Hurts with 6,
reputation.
Jalen Hurts with 6, Joe Burrow with 5, Jordan Love with 1, Justin Herbert 0, Tua 0. That's just the numbers right there. Obviously, with some context, Jalen Hurts is obviously on the best team out of all of those guys.
Organization.
Yeah,
Change
that's
that.
it.
Pirates. Organization.
Yeah, that's
Joe
it.
Burrow plays for Cincy and had 5. Okay. All right.
I mean, he's playing with an all-time great receiver.
I mean, but also Joe Burrow also made it to the big game. Let's just, I mean, that's another thing I think might get overshadowed. Like,
And that's why
you
I
can have more
always
playoff wins,
agree.
but at the end of the day, are you making it to the big game? Because you could just be making it to the next round and then losing on the NFC Championship. Losing it's different when you actually going to the Super Bowl.
Nah, playoff wins do matter. You're not every year. You're not gonna make it, bro. I
I
think
mean,
Lamar Jackson, if his
What do you-
playoff record was a little bit better and he hadn't made a Super Bowl, I think some of the outlets or some of the opinions on him would be a little different. Because like people do value your performance in those moments. Because playoffs is when you really find out what kind of quarterback you got.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like if you're going off based off of like yeah, you could have a whole bunch of playoff wins. For example, like the Steelers, like they're in the playoffs pretty much every year, but
But they're not winning anything.
they're not winning. That's my point. So like you could like you can have like 1 or 2 wins. That's what. But I think I think it also matters as like how far did you make it once you got in, because at the end of the day, like we might ignore that, but franchises are going to pay attention to that. They're going to be like, okay, bro, we put this guy in this position to win
But
year
did
after
the
year after year,
but
and
did
he's
the
not getting it done.
but
Then
I also have to sit here and be truthful about the organization. Did the organization actually give the quarterback athlete a chance in talent?
They
Did
did.
they actually supply him with a better roster year after year? I think
that could
that's
be the
Can't sit here and act
that could be
like
the case too.
we can't sit here and act like okay. I can agree with you that the Bengals roster is not very good. It's not very talented.
organization.
But
Organization in my entire life, they don't like
But
paying people.
okay,
the
that's fine. But like they're good enough to win, bro. Like we
No,
their
they're
can't
not.
defense
do
is
this
just
boo-boo
not that
game
good.
They're
with
not.
Joe Burrow because I
They're
don't do
not. They
this
have the
boo-boo
worst
game
defense in the
because quite
NFL. Have a
frankly,
horrible offensive line. I don't know what game we're watching.
there's several teams with horrible offensive lines, bro, that have done better than what they did this year. So we're not gonna sit here and
And
make
how many of
excuses.
those same
Not
teams
everybody
have
in the
been to the
world got
Super
Joe.
Bowl? How many of them
Bro,
same
not
teams
everybody
have
in the
been to the
world got
Super Bowl?
Jamar Chase, bro.
Same shit
You
happened with
talking
the
about
Patriots.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins with the Trey Henderson who led the league in sacks, bro. Like you're acting like Joe Burrow's just the only guy on his team. He's the only
I
good
never
player on the
said he
game.
wasn't the only guy.
I,
That's
I,
never been my argument. My argument is he's just elite. He's one of those guys. Give him some talent. Give him a roster like Detroit. and they're going to mollywop everybody. Give him the Detroit team. They will mollywop Philly.
I mean,
And
that's
I
rare, bro.
100% believe
Honestly, and my
That
thing is,
roster is
also
very
I
that's what
heard
rare.
this
happened.
said earlier. I heard, I
Elite
agree with,
quarterbacks that get elite teams.
I
Period.
agree with
James
both of
Jones
you
is an
guys
elite
because
team.
I've seen it. Because also I've heard one thing I do want to address because I've been trying to address for a minute. I've heard that I don't know who said it, but I heard someone say something about it. They don't see no one in the AFC beating the Eagles.
I don't.
Right now, for one, I'd highly doubt that any one of these teams that like made it or got really close this year are going to come back looking the same way they did. They're definitely going to come back with something for sure. So I guarantee you that and honestly, I'll admit that I'll admit the Ravens were probably one of the teams that were out there that can match them because of the talent, the level of talent we had on our roster. And two, I agree with both of y'all. I think there's some things you cannot live without, and there's some things that you can live without. And it honestly depends on the team because I've seen it done without and with. But honestly, if I'm being real, it's consistently. If you want to be if you want to be in the Super Bowl consistently, if you want to win in the Super Bowl, you got to have an O-line. You got to have a defense. I've seen it done without a defense. But like I said, if I'm saying consistently, so there's a couple of little things that you can, interchange. But to be real, like y'all are kind of both right. But if we talk about Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals, they're missing a defense and a O line.
Thank
So I don't see them in our division doing anything because of who's in it. Now, granted, there's other teams that can get away with that. They can get away with having a roster like that. But which is crazy because the Bengals almost made it this year. They was like a game away from making the playoffs. So, like I said, like like if they had made it, we were talking about it. Honestly,
They had the
they were one of the
same
teams
roster.
I was looking at where I was scared. If they had made it, I was like, dang, I would not want to play that team. And
I'm
my
with
team is the Ravens. So yeah, the Tyrus' point, it's it's interchangeable. It depends.
Nobody said, I mean, the roster was bad. We get that, right? But nobody would have said with the same roster that they had on paper before the season started, nobody would have said, oh, yeah, they missed the playoffs. Nobody would have said that. Nobody would have said that. So we can't make this excuse and act like the team's so bad to the point where they can justify missing the playoffs
I've
this
never
season.
said the team was so bad. I said the organization is fucking atrocious.
The organization
They
makes the
suck.
team, bro.
The organization sucks. The organization sucks. They have
The Lions
never
organization
resigned
sucks.
players.
They have
never
sucked for years,
resigned
bro.
players. They don't resign players. Why are you playing with Jamar Chase back? This is the best receiver in the league, and you're sitting here not signing him. Like, what? Like,
I mean, they're gonna sign him, bro.
I don't get how like we can do this selective, give excuses for one quarterback and not give excuses for other. Like, I don't get this selective judgment. Like, he is not in a great organization. Period. Yeah, they got Jamar Chase because they freaking sucked the second year after the first year he played because he got injured by Chase Young. That's the reason they got the damn pick.
I mean,
I thought they should never even drafted Jamar Chase. I've openly said they should have did Penei Sewell. That's who I wanted them to draft so they can give him a left tackle, so they can build an offensive line. But he is in a bad organization, and he's making them look a lot better than what the hell they are. Him and Jamar Chase are making them look a lot better. The Bengals would have never went to the Super Bowl without them two. Point blank, period. They weren't sniffing.
Of course.
But like, he's just in a bad organization.
Most number one picks are in bad organizations, bro. What number one pick isn't in a bad organization, bro?
I'm not disagreeing with you that.
So we're feeling sorry for him just because he's Joe Burrow. I mean,
But
everybody,
one
every
thing, but
number
one
one pick
thing
is going to be
those
on a
bad
bad team.
organizations do, and when they do turn it around, the only quarterback that I know that didn't go to a draft bad organization was Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts.
I mean, at the time, though, if you look at it,
They were
the
They
not
weren't
bad
Chiefs
even
were.
organizations.
top 10. We're neither,
They
neither
were
of them
not
were
bad
top 10
organizations. We
picks.
ain't gonna do that
But
to
at
them
the
shit.
time, they were just like they weren't winning. So I mean, like,
The Chiefs
Chiefs was
still had
winning.
Andy Reid. They had Alex Smith. They were a stable enough organization. Philly, didn't they go to the Super Bowl before they got drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round? Yeah. They're the only
Only
two
like a
that
couple
didn't go
years
to bad
before.
organizations.
yeah,
And
I
Lamar
think I think
Jalen
there
has
Hurts
was
to
was a
go to
second
a bad
round pick, though.
organization.
I think there was
Lamar
a
has to go to a bad
gap.
organization.
It was like a couple
So,
years before.
Yeah, I think there was a gap for that.
but they still were like decent. They still were able to go to the Super Bowl. They still had a roster.
Well, also
Like,
some of
yeah,
those
they still
players
got
are that's up to like the organization to pick. Because who knows? Some of those players, like for example, Lamar was looked at as when he got drafted. It was looked at as a running back. Oh, we used to transition to running back. He's a running back. Da 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 da. Right. And honestly,
but you
it's
can't
like
deny
I keep trying to tell people. His first year, obviously, he was still kind of playing behind Joe Flacco until I think he got hurt
But you're
on
not
his
denying
eventually.
my point. My point was that they're like one of the only three quarterbacks that I can think of off the top of my head right now that didn't go to bad organizations. The Ravens are not a bad organization, and they've never been a bad organization in the 23 years I've watched them.
I mean,
Philly has
most
been a
teams that drafting a
But
player
that's the
at
thing. Hold on,
22nd
right? Hold on. That's
are bad teams,
you're
bro.
saying one word that is kind of conflicting. You're saying bad organization, but there's a difference between a bad organization and a bad team, because yeah, like the
Exactly, bro.
organization is what the organization is what it is. Like there's there's a certain way that the Ravens run, and there's a certain way that the Redskins run, and there's a certain way that all the other teams, the Eagles, all that. Like there's a culture to the team. That culture when players get drafted, it's implemented to players even when they first get drafted or traded to the team. So there's organizations that are good, but they have bad teams. Like for example, the Ravens weren't a good team around the time Lamar came in. We were at
oh,
our downfall. We were decent. Don't get me wrong, we were decent, but our teams were not good.
okay.
So like it depends on like that team before. Like for example, like they still though I still feel like those quarterbacks had to come in and they had to the team had to be shifted and adjusted and molded around that quarterback. For example, Lamar didn't get the team really molded around him till 21 or it really until like 23 when Todd Monken came in. That's
I
when
got
he really got the team
one
molded around
one
Lamar
statement.
Jackson.
I got one statement, and Tyrus can agree with it. Probably can agree with it. Those two quarterbacks were able to sit. You were able to sit a year, almost a year. When I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. Jaden Daniels couldn't sit a year. Joe Burrow couldn't sit a year. Now, yes, I get it. They were top picks, but at the end of the day, y'all were still able to sit and mold behind a veteran quarterback. Like I'm never gonna agree with
That
you.
doesn't really make them a good team, though. That
Jalen
just means
Hurts.
that the
Yes,
quarterback
like you don't have the
they have a
pressure to have to
competent
like
But
quarterback. That
Jalen
doesn't
Hurts
make
that's
though.
him
a good organization.
necessarily a good
You had a
team.
solid enough quarterback that could stand his own, so your rookie quarterback can develop. You're not disagreeing when you're just arguing just to argue. You can't sit there and say Lamar didn't get drafted to a good
I'm
organization. You
not even
can't sit there and
arguing with you,
tell me
bro. I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
the point is that when you're drafted to a good organization, of course you're gonna have like he's not going through the struggles that Joe Burrow's going through. Like they don't like signing players. I've never not seen Ravens not get better year after year. Like if I'm a quarterback, I want to get drafted to a good organization, not a horrible organization where I'm the lifeblood and I have to change everything. Those two quarterbacks didn't have to do that. They were in solid enough organization. They didn't have to put on Superman cape and change the organization. Like no, like they went
Well,
in.
I don't know
The
because
culture was already set and it was good. Like it
it's
wasn't.
different. It's a little bit different because
Every player who's drafted to like every player who's getting drafted #1 overall, as they're probably gonna have to put on a Superman cape. And let me say this too. Joe Burrow was drafted number one overall into a trash organization, right? I'm with you, but okay, let's say Cam Ward goes to Tennessee, right? #1 overall. He's gonna have to put that cape on, and guess what? He's gonna have to put that cape on. And the following year, his team's not gonna draft a superstar, future Hall of Famer wide receiver, pal. They're not gonna give him help on the offensive end and weapons the way that the Cincinnati Bengals did. Like they didn't give him help everywhere, but they gave him some help in places that matter. Like Jamar Chase is a beast.
They didn't because they never drafted a left tackle. They never drafted a surplus of both left tackle for him to get protection. They drafted the receiver that Joe Burrow wanted because Joe Burrow.
They drafted O-linemen that didn't pan out. They drafted O-linemen that just didn't pan out.
But why can't you draft a good offensive lineman?
Why can't the Commanders draft a good offensive lineman, bro?
Because we are a shitty organization.
Who?
We are a shitty organization. We were a shitty organization.
Hold up, talk about. Can I say something? You're saying a lot of things that conflict with each other. 5 seconds ago, you were talking about how you think you was gonna get Myles Garrett, quote unquote shitty organization is gonna make a big move, a smart big brain move like that. But they're a bad organization to where when they draft the O line, it's a bad line, and it's because it's a shitty organization. I'm just saying, there's some inconsistencies.
It's not inconsistent.
Like, are y'all good or y'all not? Like, what's going on here?
They were a shitty organization. Yes, there's an upturn. Yes, we have the guys, we have the staff. I have the belief in AP, but at the end of the day, they were a shitty organization. Why can't you draft players and actually develop them? Like, that's not.
I mean, I think some teams deserve some credit and some breaks for that, because that is not easy to do. I mean, there's guys that's what scouting is for, but there's guys that have gotten. There's guys that have gotten into the league and they were not what or the people thought they were, and that happens. But I mean, like, there's levels to it. Like, I'll even admit that I am. With my team, I never really had an issue with the draft. I always find somebody in the draft that turns out to be good. And I think the goal should really start at turning at least one or two of the guys you do draft into gems, no matter what the position is or what the need is. Take your picks and make use of your picks. Start building like that. Yeah.
That's my point. Good organizations do that. That's just what they do. Like, that's just what they do. Philly does it. Baltimore does it. They're the only ones I can think off the top of my head right now. But that's just what good organizations do. They find them, even if the rest of the niggas, they find one guy, they're going to develop and they're going to be a gem. That's what
and keep them too. That's one thing.
And sign them. Thank you. They sign them. They don't wait to sign the best receiver. Why is he not signed? Why is he doesn't have a contract? That does not make sense to me. I get he gonna get paid, but that does not make sense.
When exactly will the Bengals roster be good enough? Because quite frankly, you brought up the Lions, you brought up the Eagles. They're not gonna have an Eagles or Lions roster anytime soon in the next decade.
Great quarterbacks like that, they get drafted #1, #2, don't never have those type of rosters.
Exactly. So I'm respecting Joe Burrow because he's elevated those around him, despite that his roster isn't elite. But all I'm saying is, I agree with you.
When he had the talent that year, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, when we talk about them being one of the worst defenses, they didn't retain that type of talent. Now, yes, you can say it's Joe Burrow's fault because he wanted all the damn money. You can blame for that. I blame quarterbacks for that. I think some of them should take pay cuts, but at the same time, fuck them. Fuck the owners, make it happen. But when they had the talent on defense, to let people go. Like, that year that they went to the Super Bowl, the defense wasn't amazing, but they had some pieces. They didn't.
I mean, who was the key player they let go?
What's the safety that I think he went to Atlanta?
Jesse Bates.
Yeah,
Jesse Bates.
They let go of him. Trey Henderson, think they let go of like another guy. I can't think of the
No,
nobody.
Trey
Trey
Hendrickson's
Henderson,
still on
he's
the
still
I'm
on the
not
team.
a Bengals
team.
fan.
Trey
I'm not a
Henderson's
Bengals
still on
fan.
the team.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I thought he was still there.
Who?
Trey Hendricks.
Right.
He is still there. I said they probably let go of somebody else. I'm not a Bengals fan. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm a defense of Joe Burrow. God damn it. Wrong with y'all.
I
I'm
mean,
always gonna be defense of-
here's my view on it. On just the top, I think. Look,
But with
as a
like,
team, I know some teams struggle at it more, and like it's still hard to do because there's no guarantee. There's so much stuff that goes into building that guy, that draft pick up to a player that you know that you're expecting him to be or need him to be. But there's so much that goes into it. It's not even sometimes just the organization or the coaches or what they want. Sometimes you gotta look at the players. Is that what the player wants? Some guys aren't built to be like that. So I think
but that's the
what it really
organization job to sift through the players that are not like that and draft the players that will
right,
become
and
that.
I agree. I
That's
agree.
the
And like I said before, like I said, I think they should reach for a goal to turn one of them guys or two of them guys if they get
and they
into
don't.
those type of guys. But at the same time, I'm still saying like it's still difficult, and that they kind of I think
That's
they
not
need
my
a
job
break.
to figure out. That's their job. They get paid
I know.
millions of dollars.
Hey,
And the
look,
more
but
football that any of us will ever remember, at the end of the day, that is their job. Like we can sit there and say it's a difficult job. Well, shit, then quit. I don't have no sympathy for you. You get paid millions of dollars to do it. Do it. If you're not good at your job, quit or get
well, then
fired.
half the NFL should quit because half the teams in the NFL are like that. I'm just saying a lot of, and then even if they do, it still takes time for some teams to build. Like honestly, like even like I keep referring to the Ravens because I mean that's the team I can point out to exactly. That team is one of the teams where we weren't like we took a minute to build ourselves up. We weren't always just bam, okay, there we go. We were seeing a lot of stuff where we were like, oh, this is like promising, but
But like I don't
it
think
still
I've
took
ever bottomed
two
out.
or three seasons or more really to get everything going.
But
So
I don't think y'all ever bottomed out though. Like I've never seen y'all
no,
with a top five pick.
not
Y'all been
really. No.
stable. Y'all been stable. Like good
Yes.
organizations, if they're not the top, they're gonna be stable enough just to come around till they rebuild it back up. But y'all were stable when y'all did not have Lamar, and when y'all didn't after y'all won that Super Bowl, y'all were stable enough. Y'all didn't just bottom out. You can't sit here
No,
and tell me y'all bottomed out. Y'all didn't bottom out.
I'm not sitting here telling you we
Giants
bottomed out. My point isn't the fact that we bottomed out. My point is the fact it took us a while to be considered Super Bowl contender. I'm looking at the Super Bowl. Now I know most teams aren't. Their biggest goal is not to win the Super Bowl. But
that is a
for a
luxury.
team like Cincinnati, where if they just put a couple pieces together, that's probably where they'll be heading towards if
Although I
if
was
they can get it together. That's my point. My point
Hey,
is
we can't act like Mahomes just has a bunch of superstars around him either.
well, that's what
Yes,
I'm saying.
no, let's be
Mahomes
clear
did
The
about
have
that.
AFC, I'm telling you, the
Mahomes had
AFC
one
is being
other
slept on right now.
player.
Next
Mahomes
Mahomes
year,
had
did have
one other superstar.
next year, the AFC is gonna blow up. I'm telling you. Like the Chiefs are not gonna sit here and be complacent. The Bills are not gonna sit here and be complacent. The Ravens are not gonna sit here and be complacent. All these teams, I'm telling you, they're gonna blow up. There's gonna be a really competitive year in the AFC. I'm telling you. Just watch. I'll be
Mahomes
sitting here around the same time, around what's it called? Around draft night. No, not draft night.
Mahomes
I'll
had
say
two
mid season, and I'll be sitting here saying like this how I said that they're going to be really competitive.
Mahomes had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. And I think didn't he have Kareem Hunt at one time too? They had like
Yeah,
a loaded offensive team. Okay.
but then they traded him, and then he went to the Browns, and then went around, and then came
Yeah,
back this year.
yeah, yeah. They traded Tyreek Hill because of Tyreek Hill could have kept him. But how do you feel?
They traded. That was probably one of their dumb trades. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I heard it was something
I mean,
along the lines of
it wasn't their fault. It was his fault. He wanted
yeah,
the
he wanted
guarantee
more
money
money.
that they couldn't give him.
Well, they I don't
They
know.
gave him the
Allegedly,
money
they
that he
had the
wanted. He
money.
wanted the guaranteed dollars. Like they gave you literally what you wanted. You just didn't get the exact guaranteed dollars to stay in Kansas City to go win another ring. Now he's complaining about how he wants to come back.
Either that or
Wrapping up to start wrapping it up here.
I was just about to say I had to go. So
You said what, bro?
I said I had to go too. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, man. We've been doing this. Might be one of my longest lives, man. 2 hours. We've
It's
been running
not.
it up. It's
It's
not.
definitely not.
No, bro.
Y'all got
No.
No, not
to
even
talk
close.
about Joe Burrow. That's what happens. Put Joe Burrow. Talk about Joe Burrow. We gonna go
Usually,
for
it's you talking about the Washington Commanders, and then you look up and it's 3 hours long.
Hey, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Well, I definitely want to do another long live eventually, but the next live will probably be talking about the off season mock drafts. What's next for Washington? Definitely got to do that one. But yeah, this conversation was good, man. Appreciate y'all joining. Great conversation tonight. There was also the Super Bowl. Also, too, Jalen. Before we get out, I know as a big Saquon fan, how you feel about that, man? Big win for Saquon.
No, it's crazy. Like a year ago, he was on the Giants. To think that he was on the team where I was like, man, at this rate, he's never going to win the Super Bowl. But now you just look up and you just see him. You see him just winning the Super Bowl, the LeBron trophy. He's a special man. He deserves it after all the ACL sprains and tears and all that in New York for pretty much no reason because that team sucked. No disrespect to my dad. He's probably going to see this. I'm sorry, but that's definitely a trash organization. They let go everybody that's talented that walks in that building. But it's special, man. Congratulations, Saquon.
Hey,
But yeah, I
respect
do
to
feel
Saquon.
bad for the Chiefs, though.
Respect to Saquon, man. He's worked so hard. I just hate the fact that he's on the Eagles.
Me too.
This is what the Giants did to us. This is what the
It should
Giants
have been in
did. But
Baltimore. Yeah, yep. This is the Giants' fault.
I would rather see him in Baltimore. Shoot, that'd be tough. I mean, maybe later in his career, we'll see. But yeah, man, I just want to wrap it up here. Super Bowl 59. Nobody expected that, but yeah, great discussion. Appreciate y'all coming on. This is the Fourth and Goal Sports Show. I'm your host, Tyrus Wilson. Any last words from you guys? I already know what Julian's gonna say. RFK.
Yeah. HTTC. Organizations matters. Bring my team back to DC so we can get a divisional playoff game and let the stadium be rocking. And yeah, Jaden the best in the NFC. That's what I said.
I was gonna say Jalen Daniels, the best quarterback not in the NFC but in the NFL. And what else? Eagles. They're not going back to back because next year is Washington, obviously. And what else? Yeah, that's probably it.
I'll make my story simple. I'm not even going to talk about my quarterback because my quarterback play talk for himself. But all the players out there in Cancun, enjoy your stay. Enjoy your vacation while you can.
I mean, you too. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah, no, I'm included. That's what I'm saying. Everybody. And that's about it.
All right, man. Hey, until next time, great live tonight. Until next time, this is the Fourth and Goal Sports Show. Make sure y'all like, comment, share, subscribe, as well as follow to the Fourth and Goal Sports Instagram page, which will be in the description. Until next time, great live tonight. Appreciate y'all watching. Peace.
Peace.